stuff. I post it on Google Classroom so you can watch it. Let's say Tyreek or somebody, I don't know, I've got some better names. Let's say that Drea understands examples 1, 2, and 3, but she's confused on 4. And she was just shy. She still didn't know me yet. She didn't want to ask me. That's fine. Go back on Google Classroom. Just watch the part you missed. See if you get it that next time. If not, continue 0 period. Let's fix it. Let's get it together before it's too late and hurting your grade. Okay. So I know you hadn't had time to work on it, but we got to go over it so you won't get behind. So I'm telling you, I could tell when I missed you that 3rd period was going to be a smart class. Not to insult 1st or 2nd. They're smart too. Okay. So 1st and 2nd, when they were working these, a lot of people, when they were sitting there, they were trying to FOIL. Why are these not FOIL problems? Yes, so, and I don't care if you shout it out when I ask it like that. If I want table 1, I swear I'll say table 1. And at the end of class, when I got my life together, I'm going to make y'all make a popsicle stick so I can pull it out and say, hey, Lyric wants the answer to this. But y'all, I don't know. 3rd period seems to be special at the moment. Okay, but exactly. Back up to the math. Since there's that plus sign, or that minus sign, in between those sets of parentheses, we can't FOIL. So if you were trying to FOIL, and I know I saw at least one person who was, good for you for remembering. That's not what we're going to do on these problems. We're just going to combine our like terms. I know Lyric and some of the others who were in the room yesterday have the right answers. Does anyone want to volunteer the answer to number 1? Yes, Lyric.
I got 4T plus 9T.
Okay. So she combined those like terms. She said 6 plus 8 is 14. She said 5 plus 4 is 9. I think that's great. And I know you're like, Miss Compton, you're being way too picky now. I like that Lyric did it with the S term first, because in alphabetical order, S comes before T. No, that sounds really picky, but to be honest, it's going to be that way on the ACT. Might as well get used to being in ABC order. Yes, dear?
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't it supposed to be alphabetical?
Yeah, it should be. So I like to put it that way. I had someone 1st period, very smart, but I mean, it's 3 days since you went on summer break. I get it. She said her final answer, she had that, and then she kept going, and she said it was 23ST. What's wrong with that? They're not like terms, and I like that. You can't combine them. They're not like terms. And if we were giving points, I would have given table 5 a point, or table 6 a point, sorry. Then I probably would have given table 3, like, I would shout out the points. But we're not going to get there till Monday. And at the moment, everyone seems to be doing pretty good. The only one who's ADHD in me is over here, and he's about to calm it down. Okay. Then we get to number 2, and we got a problem because of that minus sign. We did. So I'm going to do it different than I did every other class period. Let's skip it for a second. Let's go to number 3. It's got that pretty plus sign. Let's go to 3. Let's go to 3. Let's combine those like terms. What should I get as my answer on number 3? Perfect. And that's how table 2 would have gotten a point. Notice he did 2 minus 3 and got -1e squared. But he told me to write -e squared. Remember that 1's understood. You don't have to write it. You don't have to write it. You can put -1e squared, but you don't have to. And then he said 7 minus 5. He got 2e. Now, I like his answer, 1, because he didn't write that understood 1. He just knew it was supposed to be there. I also like his answer because it's in descending order, meaning that the higher exponent was first. You know you want to put the highest to the lowest exponent when you put your final answer, because that's how it's going to be in ACT, and that's how math people do it, and you're just going to go ahead and get that good habit. Okay, any questions on 3? Then let's back up to number 2, because it can be a bit tricky. Is there anyone who wants to share their answer on number 2?
9m minus 13.
God, he's on it. 11 minus 2 is 9m. And then -7 minus 6 is -13n. And I'm with you. I would have said in my head, -7 plus 1 is -n. Totally there. If you're like me and him, and your brain is still on summer vacay, because it is, here's what to do to get your brain off vacay. I would distribute that negative sign. So on my paper, I would have done what I'm going to write here in blue. I would have had 11m minus 7m, and then negative 2m, negative times the positive makes negative, and then negative 6n. If you distribute that negative, you get rid of all your worries in life, because now you can just combine those like terms. 11 and negative 2, that really is 9. Negative 7, negative 6, it really is negative 13. So if you're like us, we're going to distribute the negatives because it just makes our life easier. Yes, dear?
I was going to say, when it comes to there being like a minus sign in between the two sets of parentheses, isn't there an understood one, so it's like distributing negative 1?
It's exactly like that, and that's what I just did. I distributed negative 1. That's perfect. You would have gotten your group point for that. So, again, do you have to do what I did in blue? No. But if you were never going to get to the green, then you got to be like me and do the blue. It just helps. Okay, anyone want to be brave and share their answer on number 4?
Negative x squared minus 8x.
Okay, again, he's stinking on it today. We're going to have to ban him. Negative x squared minus 8x. I love that he didn't write that understood 1. Again, his answer's in descending order. And me, I would have thought it was negative x squared, and then I would have put plus 2x. So if you put the plus 2x and had this part wrong, you're going to have to distribute that negative sign. You're going to need an extra step that says x squared minus 3x minus 2x squared minus 5x. If you do that pink step and combine those like terms, you'll get negative x squared. You'll get negative 3, negative 5. You'll end up back at negative 8. You'll get the correct answer. So if you're making a sign error, then you're going to have to be like us and distribute the negative. It just works. It makes my life easier. Okay, are there any questions on these first 4? Okay, I know you've got so much going on in your life. I totally understand. I'm telling you, I'm going to do better and give you some time to work on the math workshops. But if for ever some reason you're bored in here, like Lyric was kind of bored yesterday, not going to lie, it was like us and 5 others, she was bored. She's going ahead and done as much of things as she could. So in your free time, the more you get done, the faster we can go over them, the faster we can move on to like the lesson, and maybe you having time on homework. You'll be helping yourself if you can get these done in advance. Okay, I'm going to pass something out, and while I do, can you take out a blank piece of paper? I promise it is not a pop quiz. Do not worry. Just get out a piece of paper.
I got
Yes.
a test yesterday, so I'm not really.
Yes, dear. If you've got your syllabus signed, please turn it in. And if you don't have your syllabus signed, thank you to remind me. Get your syllabus signed so I can give you some points. Maya's going to have her 25 out of 20 because I met her mama, so my gosh, at least we're not 20 out of 20. Okay. While you're getting out that blank paper and turning in all the things, I'm going to try to make your life a little easier. In the past, I've said, hey, you have to write down our learning targets. That's what I've said in the past. You have to write down the learning targets. And you know what? We don't have time for that. We're needing to do math workshop. We're about to do some ACT prep. That's what that blank paper's for. So Lyric does not have time to copy down those learning targets anymore. It's not going to happen. So instead, I've given you all the learning targets you're going to need for this first section, for this first test. So when Lyric has mastered all these skills, she's ready for our test. Now what I would do is I would put the date beside the learning target. So just for my own brain, so I know what day I did one life. So I can be like, oh yeah, 8/11, I totally zoned out that day. Not that one. Not my day. What I'm hoping that Dre is going to do is I'm hoping she'll put a check mark when she's got it down. Maybe today's an easy day. She completely gets it. She puts a check mark there. Maybe Monday, not so much. She doesn't put a check mark on that one, but she totally gets the third thing we did. So when Drea comes to me and says, hey, I need help during zero period, I can say, okay, what did you miss? And even if Drea doesn't come see me, when Drea studies for a test, because she seems like she's a studier, she seems like that kind of person. When she studies for her math test, she doesn't have to study at all, because that's a lot of stuff. She can just say specifically, I need to study that second one, because I really didn't get that. Everything else I'm good at, that's where I'm weak. So I'm hoping this list will help you pinpoint exactly what's going on with you. Okay, saying all that, it's yours. I would put it at the front of my binder, but you do what, it's your thing. What we're going to do now are 3 ACT prep problems. We're just wanting to make sure, I just want to help you as much as I can for the ACT, and I get you don't have time to come to special things to prep for it, and we can make some time for this during class, as long as we stay productive. Okay, so, in case it's been a while, because it's been a long summer, when you take the ACT, there are 60 questions, 60 minutes. That's a question a minute. That's a lot of math. It's a lot of math. So what we need to talk about, which is the hardest part of it all, time management. We need to make sure that you're working at a steady pace. That way when you get to question 40, you're not like, all your bad words come out of your mouth. I know in your head they're like all the bad words. I only have 10 minutes left and I'm supposed to do 20 questions. This is so bad. I just don't know what to do. So we're gonna try to fix that and get you ingrained in class on how to work. So the first thing I'm gonna tell you is that, and this is a normal test. On a normal test, the first 30 are supposed to be the easiest. I'm not saying every single one's gonna be an easy one, but the first 30 compared to the back 30 are supposed to be easier. And if they're easier, shouldn't that mean we should spend less time on them? So what we're going to practice for a while are how to deal with those first 30, because we need to get through them quickly. Because Naya might need to spend a minute or two. She might need to spend like 2 minutes on question 43. Well, that's only going to work out. She doesn't have a magic timer. She can't stop time. She's only getting 60 minutes regardless. So in order to spend 2 minutes on question 43, she's going to have to cut some time out on the first 30. So that's what we're going to practice. But at first, I'm going to be way too nice because, you know, you're just now learning this. So instead of only giving you 30 seconds, I'm actually going to give you the full minute to think this through. And then for those of us in the back, or those of us who can't see, I'm so sorry. I swear I'll do better. By this weekend, I will post this online. So if you want to go home and print it off so you can hold it because you can't read from the screen, you can. So I'll post it. Okay, I'll stop rambling now. You've got a minute on this question starting now. Okay, if you haven't made an answer choice, you need to go ahead and select something. Got about 10 seconds left. Okay, the words I wish I had said, I would probably put my name and then ACT prep at the top of this paper. I swear we're going to keep working on this for a while, so every day I'm going to say, hey, can you pull out that piece of paper you've been writing on? Can you pull it back out? Okay. Can you talk to your group and see what answer you got? I'm hoping we're all on some sort of same page. Okay, I hear a lot of C's. I didn't hear from 5 though. What y'all did? C. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about it. I appreciate you talking to your group. I like it when I hear the same letter. That tends to be a good sign. I heard a lot of C's and I heard a couple B's, and I'm going to pretend like I did not hear the A. Okay, so let's talk about You know, every class period I've said, let's talk about the silly answers, and no one's told me one of the silly answers. And this time, I'm not even trying to insult you. I'm so sorry. Let's talk about the silly answers. Let's go ahead and knock A out. Clearly, Louise has a probability of being on the team, so it's not A. What's another silly answer on the screen right now?
E.
Why is E a silly answer?
Because they're like,
Can't be an officer.
but
Yeah,
they can't be one of the officers.
It says 5 officers, and then it says in bold, he is not an officer. I mean, like, it is capitalizing everything. Not an officer, 5 officers, shouldn't be 1/5. Can't be that one. Okay, and then there's one more silly one up there that I can get rid of.
C.
Why are you killing off C? It is D. The last one that I can kill off is D because, do you see how D is 6 over 32? Doesn't that reduce? Because 2 goes into 6, 2 goes into 32. That fraction's not even in simplest form, but I knew that one wasn't going to be it to begin with. I know you're like, you're not even reading the problem as content. I know, I get that, but I'm telling you, I knew that one was a distractor. So to begin with, I'm either guessing B or C. Okay, so here's the truth. And I'm just going to tell on all the math teachers of the world. When a math teacher gets in a hurry and we have to cut something out, we cut out statistics and probability. It is what it is. Is there going to be statistics and probability questions on the ACT? Yes, there are. So we're going to make sure that if this is something you don't understand, we're going to make sure we practice a lot of these. Because they're not hard. You just hadn't had to do them because your teacher was in a hurry. You have a lot to cover in class. Okay, so it actually is, you were supposed to do 32 minus 5 and get 27 because he wasn't an officer, so we had to subtract out the officers. So you had a 1 in 27 chance, which means our answer choice really is C. That's all you had to do. Now, does it kind of hurt a math teacher? You don't even know me, so you haven't hurt my feelings yet, because I had none of y'all last year, so I can't even do math. Does it kind of hurt the math teacher's feelings when all she sees is someone write a letter and I don't see you doing any scratch work whatsoever? Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying you're not a genius. I'm not saying you couldn't do that in your head. Probably could. But I tend to write when I do math, for real. You probably want to write something. Do they grade your scratch work? No, but are you just going to guess your way into an answer? Probably not. Okay. Just being honest. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this was a probability question. Number 2 is geometry. So I'm going to, again, give you a minute, but to be honest, with geometry, you either understand or you don't. You may go. Anyone need more time to make their guess? You have a couple more seconds. Okay, I'll give you a couple more seconds. Okay, talk to your group, see what they got, see if we're on the same page. I'm listening to hear what letter. Six. What do y'all think? Okay. 5, what do y'all think? I heard y'all.
It's K.
You think K, table 1? That's why you're table 1. No, you're 2.
Okay.
His binder, your binder, whoever's binder it is on top of the label. Move the red binder and you'll see it says table 2. Okay, I heard K a lot. I heard some J's. Can we just guess it on this one?
Yes.
No.
I don't know how you did that if you did just guess it. You are apparently very good because, to be honest, on geometry ones, that's kind of what sucks is, I don't know which one of these to eliminate. They all have the congruent symbol. Okay. If someone had had the equal to symbol, I would have gotten rid of it. I see a lot of them have the letter F, and then a lot of them do have the letter C, so maybe I would have been smart enough to be like, not J. But I can't even go any further than that. I can't say, yeah, it's not J, any or the other. No. So, I don't know what you did. I don't know who your geometry teacher was. I'm praying.
Draw a triangle and then you label it as base.
Oh, man, that's the kind of answer I'm wanting to hear. So, I would have, this was a congruent statement. You're like, oh my God, I just got out of that. Don't go back. This was a congruent statement telling you that ABC goes with DEF. In geometry, your teacher stressed the letter order mattered. So A has to go with D. They're both first in the statement, so they both have to be on the same part of the triangle. B was in the middle, and it goes with E. So B and E, I put them in the same place when I drew my fake triangle. And then C, it went with F. So I drew me a fake triangle. They're not even pretty. They don't judge your scratch work. They don't have to be beautiful. And then I would have gone through each answer choice using my fake triangle. So for instance, the first one said, is AB congruent to DF? Well, no, Miss Compton, you colored on the left and then you colored on the bottom. That's not the same spot. And we could go through each answer choice in that same sort of elimination. And we would eventually find the answer is K. Angle C is really congruent to angle F. But how you guess into it without drawing a picture or at least recognizing the congruent statement, I don't know. Maybe you just knew C went with F, so it's K. That's fine. That's good. That's fast. But I'm not always as good, so I tend to go back to a picture. Okay, one more, and I swear we're done with ACT for today, and we'll actually get to, I don't know, the algebra 2 trig part of class. The last one is, sadly, again, a geometry question. I will give you another minute, but it really should be a 30-second one. Oh, man. Who did you have for geometry? Okay. I'm gonna walk over you now. Okay, I'm guessing because you're talking super excited, that means you've already made your choice. Is there anyone who needs a few more seconds to make their choice? Okay, obviously you're already talking to your group. If you haven't already, talk to them and see if they're on the same page. Okay, you put B.
Like my reasoning is straight lines is 180 degrees. That 100, the other side would have to be 80 degrees, so it'd be 180. So I subtract 180 because that's added up angles of the triangle. I know it's 80.
Your group
so I
thinks
subtract 80 and 65 and 35 correct.
What does your group think, Lyric? Okay, table 4. What do y'all think? Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Okay, you're in your head. Okay. You heard me say that. Okay, Abby Grace, what do y'all think? Okay, we got a wide variety on this one, which is fine. You know, it kind of breaks my geometry heart a little bit, but you know what? It's okay. We're gonna deal. We can handle this. First of all, let's talk about which one to eliminate. Which one's out? Okay, E is out. I agree. Why?
Because X is in
He went all geometry on me. We'll come back to that in a second. Oh, but does it say you can go by the figure? Because you know it's classic geometry teacher that the figure's not drawn to scale. That's what I would say. But that was very geometric of you. That was good. I'm just like using my number skills. Don't even read the problem. Just look at those answer choices. Why is it not E? Because it doesn't end in a 5. Everything else, 5, 5, 5, 5, not a 5. Literally, that's why I'm saying it's not E. Nope, doesn't follow the pattern. Now, if they had 85, then I might be confused. But because it was 80, I said, no, not it. And then I kind of sound like Goldilocks and the Three Bears with the rest of my logic. And my logic does not always work. This is just when you're like, I don't know what this is. Let me just guess. So what I would do then is I would say, that one's too small. That one's too big. It's either 25 or 35. And then I start doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. 25 or 35.
Okay.
Now, is there real geometry we can do? And I'm going to show you, of course. The great thing about the test is that you don't actually have to draw a picture. So excuse my ugly quick picture. You can draw straight on what they give you. So 100, 65, and X. And this would be, if we were doing points, this would be worth all the points. Does anyone know what theorem this is in order to figure out what X is? There was a theorem.
I don't know.
You know what? I wouldn't remember the theorem either. I wouldn't either. If I hadn't taught geometry for the past few years, it wouldn't come to my mind either. But I've done a lot of geometry. It was called the exterior angle theorem, and it said that the exterior angle was equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So I know this one plus this one should add up to 100. So yes, it is 35. If you know that theorem, then automatically yes, it is 35. However, I think I'm going to answer your question, and if not, then I'll answer you. However, are there other ways to figure this out that doesn't require you to remember an obscure theorem?
Yeah.
Of course. Do you see a linear pair? Do you see a linear pair? What number can I put at the top of this triangle? 80. Because 100 plus 80 is 180. Linear pair.
Side of triangle.
And then interior angles, how much does the triangle add up to?
180.
180. So you can say, okay, 80 and 65, that's 145. 180 minus 145. Hey, that really is 35. I didn't understand how Miss Compton was saying whatever about that theorem, but I can do that. So it's 35. It's C. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Let's talk about two things before we move on from this. First of all, I showed you this because I want you to understand where I'm getting my numbers from. In real life, should I be writing this down? Do I have time for this? No. What should I do it with? Your head or your calculator? And if your head is like mine and a little slow, please do the calculator. Calculator it up. Because in my head, somehow I would have gotten 25. I probably need to consult the calculator. Okay, and the second thing I would say is notice that when we saw that linear pair, we got 80. And some people are so excited they got that 80. That's why they selected E. So even though we decided E was a bad answer because it didn't follow that 5 pattern, at the same time, it's really not. Because a lot of people are going to pick it because of that linear pair. Yes, dear. You have had a question. Did I answer it in some way?
Right now, it wasn't a question.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions about 1 through 3? We'll come back and work on 4 through 6, I guess, or 4 through whatever we decide on Monday. It's okay that you don't know how to do all these. What we're really focusing on is how to guess and time management. So don't freak out if you forgot how to do some geometry. It'll come back to you with time and practice. Okay, get out that giant packet of notes I passed out to you. And if we were being honest, I know for sure I would give group 1 and 3 and probably some others points right then because of how quickly you were able to transition from putting that up and moving to this. It was good. It was good. Okay. So, you know how I said now we're finally going to get to the algebra 2 with trig part, and you're like, well, I pray so, Miss Compton. It is 10:36, so leave at 10:52. Should be, might be nice to do some class today. To be honest, at least the first 2 chapters are just review. So we're going to say you're in algebra 2 with trig, but really we're just going to review some stuff you probably should already know. Hate to break your heart. So when we go a little fast, it's because it's supposed to be a review, but life is hard and our brains sometimes forget the things, all the things. Okay, so we're really going to cover that top learning target because Ms. Compton's talked too long about the other things. We're never going to get to order of operations. We are going to classify real numbers. Can you tell me, if it's not a real number, is it called a fake number? No, what's it called? It's called, if you don't have a real friend when you were younger, what kind of friend did you have? Imaginary friend. You either had a real, like, she's actually here friend, or like, hey, do you see my friend right here? I'm hugging her. Like, imaginary friend. We're not cool enough to go imaginary today with the letter I. Oh, that's for another day. And it's not today's problem. So everything we talked about today is going to be a real number. When we start trying to classify things, when we talk about the different kinds of numbers, we actually call that a set. A set consists of several different kinds of numbers. And it sounds like you already know some of these sets. Okay, the first set we're going to discuss is called a rational number. First type of number. And it can be expressed like a fraction, A over B. And as is always the rule in life, B can't be 0, because you cannot have 0 in the denominator. That's a cardinal rule in math. The most important sentence to understand a rational number is that second sentence. The decimal form of a rational number is either a terminating or a repeating decimal. So last class period, I was moving a little faster, so I'm going to steal your thunder now. Terminating means it has a set end. The Terminator killed people. That was his job, was to terminate. So notice, for instance, 0.125, that would be an example of a terminating decimal because it had a set end. It died after 5. As you know in life, not all decimals die. Some of them have those darn ... dots, and that means they keep on going forever. However, if they're repeating and there's a set pattern, it's still considered a rational number. So this is 0.66. What would come next? Okay, and then if we had 0.123, 123, what would come next? 123. So we already understand the pattern. If there's a set pattern with that decimal, it is a rational number. Okay, so the coolest thing today is this chart. The R stands for reals. But the Q is for rationals because, let's face it, reals got the R. We had to pick a different letter for rationals. We picked Q. Math teachers tend to write it with that extra thing, trying to make it look all fancy. Do you have to make it look all fancy? No. Okay, so notice we talked about rationals, and they're in their own square. But in the rectangle next to them is something called I, which is irrational. Irrational is going to be the opposite of rational. So with rational, we said it had to have an end, and it didn't repeat. So irrational is the exact opposite. Irrational number, it never ends, and it never repeats. It never ends, and it never repeats. In fact, some irrational numbers happen so often in life, we gave them a letter to try to fix things. You already know one. You've used it before a lot in geometry. It's on the paper. Pi. It's 14159, and I don't know after that. 26, and you can memorize the first 1,000 digits if you'd like. The computer's figuring out more and more digits of pi every day. It does not have a pattern. Never again does it do 14159 and then keep on going the way it was. It doesn't start over. So, in fact, they gave it its own button. Another number that has its own button is E. I wrote it cursive, but if you want to write it straight, you can. It's another button on your calculator. It stands for, I think it's 2.17, and I don't remember what it is after that. Because, like you, I just press the button. You've never gotten really to press that button before. You will get to second semester with me. But it's exciting to know there's more than just pi. And then what I think, oh, you thought that was ooh yay, then you're going to love this. The coolest thing about irrationals is that any square root that is not a perfect square is an irrational number. That's what that last sentence in the paragraph says. So, for instance, the square root of 10 is an irrational number. Is the square root of 9 an irrational number? No, because we know the square root of 9. It's 3. It's a perfect square. Is the square root of 11 an irrational number? Yes, because we don't know that. It's not any non-perfect square. You add that square root in front, it's irrational. It's crazy. Crazy. Okay, so if you're trying to, you're just like, I just don't want to fail. Do not put Q and I on the same thing. Because if you put Q saying it's rational, and you put I saying it's irrational, that's not possible. You can't be both rational and irrational. That's not going to happen. Okay, then we have things called integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers. And with the integers, I do a fancy Z, and then whole numbers are a smaller part of that, and they're just a W. I don't normally do it fancy. And then N is for naturals. I normally add a little something to my N. So you're smart. In that second paragraph, they list off some stuff. What's the difference between an integer and a whole number? Integers include negatives. That's what I'm going to write. Whole numbers and natural numbers, strictly positive. Strictly positive. And then you're like, okay, if it's a pretty number, it's not negative, how do I tell if it's a whole number or a natural number? I don't understand the difference between those two. So look at the whole numbers, look at the natural numbers. There's a teeny tiny difference. What is it? Whole numbers what? No. Look at your two lists on your paper. Whole numbers have something that natural numbers don't. Look at the list with whole numbers and natural numbers. Whole numbers has 0. Notice natural numbers missing a 0. Literally, that's the difference. I know that's so sad, but that is the difference. So I'm going to write include 0. Now, why on earth did it make, like, why would that be a whole separate set? Like, why is that such a big deal to include 0? It sounds crazy, and I wish there was, like, a history of math class to make you love numbers the way I do, but there's not. I can suggest some books there. There was this one called Number Devil. It's really good. So back in the day, we're talking way back in the day. So I would have gone up to Naya and I would have said, here, I'm going to give you 3 chickens for your 1 cow. And we would have made a trade. That's where natural numbers came from us trading like we would in nature. It just happened naturally. 3 chickens, 1 cow. Do you think I'm going to give her my 3 chickens if she got 0 cows? No. So you can see once the number 0 popped up, it was a big deal. And that's why they made a whole separate set for it. Because back in the trading days, I'm not going to trade with her for 0 cows. We wouldn't have even been talking. She doesn't have a cow. I'm not talking to her. I'm going to her. She's got cows. Give her my 3 chickens. Okay. We're running out of time, as is my life. So if you want to copy this stuff down to the bottom because you just like all your notes filled in just there, you can. Otherwise, flip to the back. So what's annoying, because it's Compton double-sided in your notes, is I'm needing you to look at both your chart on the front, and I'm needing you to decide which one it goes with. So we'll start on number 1. It says negative 185. Is that it is an integer. So it is for sure an integer because it includes negatives.
All we got to do is just put the letter.
Yep. But here's where I'm going to break his heart. Not only am I going to put it's an integer, but again, an integer is also a rational number. And all of the numbers we're talking about today are real numbers. So yes, it's an integer, but it's also rational and real. And if you're confused on why there are so many things listed, if we look back at our picture, Yes, it is an integer, but that integer bubble lives inside that rational box, which lives inside that real number box. Okay, and then we get to 4/9, and I need to know, is it rational, irrational, what is it?
Rational and real.
Okay, how did you figure out it was rational?
It's a fraction.
What should you have done with that fraction? Turn it into a decimal, because the difference between rational and irrational was about that decimal. Is it terminating? Is it repeating, non-repeating? So you need to turn this into a decimal. When you type it in your calculator, somebody out there in the world will, what do you get? Does it keep on, is it repeating?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 0.44, and it keeps on going forever, he says. So it's repeating if you need to make that note to yourself. You don't have to, but, it helps in life sometimes. So since it's a repeating one, I'm going to say it's rational, and it's also real. Okay, but then the same thing on number 3. You type square root of 95 into your calculator, and what happens? It's irrational because it's a non-repeating decimal. So you typed it in your calculator, and that decimal didn't have a pattern at all. So yes, it is irrational, but it is also real. And then you're super excited when you see number 5 because you're like, I know that one. That's a normal number. It comes up when I count. So it is a natural number, and it is whole. It is an integer. It is rational, and it is real. It is annoying because it is all the things except irrational. Is there another problem up here that's also going to be all the things except irrational? Why?
Because you do the square root of 121.
So square root of 121 is really 11. So darn Miss Compton, she tricked you. She tried to make it look like it was hard. It's really not. Square root of 121 is 11. That's a normal number that would come up with our chicken and cow debate. So it's natural, whole, an integer, it's rational, and it's real. Okay, we get to number 6. Is that a pattern with that decimal? No. So is it rational or irrational?
Irrational.
Okay, so it's going to be irrational and real. And then number 7, darn Miss Compton, how dare you trick me again? Why am I tricking you?
Equals 3.
Because 24 divided by 8 is really 3, and that is what kind of a number? Natural, whole, 0, rational, real. It's all the things. And then what should I put on number 8? Is that going to repeat? That 3, 7 with a bar, does it repeat?
Yes.
Yeah, so in case you've forgotten, 3, 7 with a bar is like 3, 7, 3, 7, dot, dot, dot. It means the same thing. We're just being lazy with it. So it is rational, and it is also real. But because it's not just a nice, pretty number, you know it's not natural, whole, or an integer. Okay, life takes some time. You're going to have to practice this. You know I'm about to say that in a second. But first, I'm so surprised and I'm so impressed that you didn't ask the obvious, easy question. Do I really have to list all the things? Do you really have to list all the things? Like, since it's an integer and math people are supposed to just understand the chart, shouldn't we automatically understand it's also rational and real? Shouldn't you just list the smallest one it is instead of having to make these long, giant lists? And I would say, yeah, I don't mind if you don't make the long, giant list. Naya has a life and things to do. She might just put Q. She might not put Q and R. But if it doesn't hurt your feelings and you like listing it out for practice, that's a good thing. But I can tell from Abby Grace's look right there, she's afraid she's going to put I in the wrong spot when she should have put Q. So she should probably just put the smallest thing it is. Like the smallest subset 5 is a natural. She should probably just put in. Okay, does everyone understand what I'm saying? Okay. Your homework, bless you, I'm so sorry. I swear in real life I'll do better and give you more time. It's page 5. It's a couple pages back. It's 1 through 12. I don't care if, oh look, I already know number 8 is I, because it's irrational, because it's pi. I don't care if you just put I on number 8. You don't have to put I and R. It does not hurt my feelings. Do you think I'm going to check this on Monday?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. As long as you, I mean, you didn't see me yesterday. I'm just making sure you know me. Don't want to surprise you. I don't care if you pack up. It should ring within the next couple seconds anyway.